right, everyone, happy Friday. We have some big news to bring you today regarding games and all of that coming to Nintendo Switch 2, including, yes, folks, finally, we get to talk about, for realsy this time, DLC, downloadable content for Mario Kart World coming in the not-too-distant future. Man, I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for this. Hey, will this DLC be paid? Will it be free? What is going on? How do we know about this? We have all of that to go over. Also, Netflix made a major purchase that is still waiting for regulatory approval and all that. So nothing's really final yet. There's a whole process. Might take a year or so before we really know. But Netflix has bought WB and some associated products, HBO and all of that. And if the sale goes through, it will include, yes, WB games. Previously, this was not part of the report. For this, Netflix doesn't really talk about it in their announcement today, but there is a well-known insider, a connected person, a journalist of sorts, who has pretty much thrown out there that, yeah, actually, it's part of the purchase as well, if it gets through, or maybe it's like, hey, once it's approved, this is just like a natural, like, hey, this is just like an addendum, maybe there's an additional price thrown out there. I have no idea. Nintendo did go out of their way to fix some issues, or at least address some, and will be fixing issues in Kirby Air Rider, so that's always good to see. You like to see updates like that. We do have some updates on how well Nintendo Switch 2 is selling the week before Black Friday. So we don't have, the all of November data. We'll get that here in like 2 weeks. But we do have, at least in the US, the week before Black Friday for Switch 2. And it's actually quite fascinating. There apparently is a potential, it could be a bug or it could be a tease of a Switch 2 edition or a Switch 2 update coming for Pikmin 4. So we gotta pay attention to that one as well. And yeah, we have some minor stuff from Metroid that we need to clean up from this week. Metroid Prime 4 released yesterday. Maybe some mixed reviews, but mostly positive. So you guys can let me know your thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond down below if you happen to be playing it. I personally just, it was going to be day one, but after everything I talked about in the past with my dog and the stuff that he's going through, a lot of my extra money had to like immediately funnel to that member of my family to take care of him. So yeah, I won't be buying Metroid Prime 4 until after the holiday season. That being said, I do plan to get it at least before the beginning of the new year. And look, it's not like a super long game. Metroid Prime games usually are not like crazy long. So I probably can beat it in a week, but we'll see how things go. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and dive into our first story. We just have some cleanup news on Metroid Prime 4. First off, there's some new My Nintendo Platinum points that you can use to get custom icons for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. There's some other custom icons as well out there for some other series that have happened this week, but I wanted to specifically bring up the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond ones because this is, week 1, wave 4 of all of this. So you're seeing wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. You're seeing the 4th wave here. So this is the 4th time they put out these icons. I haven't done a great job covering when these drop. I find this news to be fairly minor and inconsequential, but I know some of you guys don't keep up to date on this stuff, so I want to do better about this moving forward and start including this into my coverage. And it's not the only Metroid Prime 4 thing. We're going to combine these stories together with our timestamps. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is on Nintendo Music as well. This happened right before the game officially released. And yeah, it doesn't have like all the music in the game, but it has all of the biggest, like loudest, most impressive music from the game. So I hope you guys look forward to and enjoy that. It's already out right now. You can check it out. I was listening to it actually yesterday. I don't use my Nintendo Music app every week, but every now and then an album drops like this, and I'm just very curious on how everything sounds, especially since right now I don't have the game. The music sounds really damn good, which I guess I really shouldn't be that shocked. Next up, we got to talk about Pikmin 4. Look, obviously we want Pikmin 5. We want more Pikmin. We want updates. Nintendo might be accidentally teasing something for Pikmin 4. So we're going to, I don't even want to file this under a rumor. This is under leak or speculation. I don't really know which way to go with this because it actually does come from Nintendo. Pikmin 4 is listed as having a Switch 2 update on the eShop. So I'm not sure if this is an update that was pushed early or just a mistake, but it can be seen under the section on the featured page. And I went and confirmed this myself. I saw this exact same thing on my end. So enhanced select games when playing on the Switch 2 system. And it does show literally Pikmin 4 right there alongside Echoes of Wisdom, which we know got a free update. Pikmin 4 has not gotten an update for Switch 2. So this, to me, obviously suggests an update is coming, and maybe this leaked out there a little early. Maybe it's supposed to be a shadow drop later this month. I don't know, but it is coming from Nintendo. It's on your Switch 2 right now if you own one. You can go to the eShop and see it, unless it's been removed at this point, which, maybe it has them. I checked before I made this video, but after I'm done editing and everything, maybe it's gone. I don't know. But just throwing that out there that, hey, I actually kind of like some of the things Nintendo's been doing with these updates and the Switch 2 editions. Not everything, though. I will note things like Mario Party. Man, that's a really crappy Switch 2 edition. I also feel like the Zelda Switch 2 editions, even though, yeah, it makes these great games already better. I ain't denying, 1440p, 60 FPS. I ain't denying how great that is. And even the stuff that you get through the phone app. But $10 updates, I don't know, felt more like I didn't have to buy it because of the NSO. I kind of feel like it's more like trying to push NSO a bit more, but those ones were a little lackluster. But then when you think about some of the other ones, like Star-Crossed World, man, dude, amazing DLC for Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Come on now. So some of them are quite good. Some of them are quite weird. Like, why we got to charge $5 for an upgrade for Pikmin? Sorry, not Pikmin. Animal Crossing, New Horizons. Now, granted, we're getting like this giant free content update. So I guess $5 just to get it in high resolution. I guess there's some other features as well. We've already covered all this. It still feels, I know it's just $5. So like, why complain? But it is a little strange, but whatever. I still like that better than the $10 they were charging for Switch 2 upgrades for, Zelda, when they give like 1440p, 4K, 60 FPS patches for free for things like, I was going to say Mario Odyssey, but it actually already was in 60 FPS, but you catch my drift. Anyways, more updates coming. That sounds good. We know we have, two for sure next year. We have the Animal Crossing one, and then we also have the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition coming out, probably closer to the movie. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this next one. This is just about sales for the Nintendo Switch 2, in particular the Mario Kart World Bundle. As we know, it was discounted this week, and I believe is still discounted as of today, but it wasn't back in November. And we obviously know the biggest sales period is like Black Friday weekend, and obviously this week. There's like the two highest sales periods, for. So there's like huge sales at the end of November, massive sales in the first week of December, and Japan has their big sales period in like the final week of December heading into January. So Japan gets a massive boost right after Christmas. But what about before we got to that sales period? How was Switch 2 doing? Well, Matt Piscatello decided to share some data from Circana early. Now, the full data is going to be coming here in like a week or two, but U.S. best-selling hardware SKUs for the week ending November 22nd. I don't think the Switch 2 is why he posted this. So he said, ranked on units sold. So this is not ranked on money. It's ranked on how many units sold. The Switch 2 Mario Kart World Bundle was the number one selling, SKU for the week ending November 22nd. Again, that is the week before Black Friday. But then in the second place, this is probably why you posted this, the Next Playground Interactive Gaming System. I actually had to look up what the hell that was because I had no idea. It does actually look kind of cool, but it is shocking to see it rank as number 2 in video game hardware when you have monsters out there like Nintendo and, yeah, PlayStation. Like, I can see Next Playground being number 3 since Xbox is kind of like, really falling off of it. But PlayStation 5, their best-selling model, which was the slim digital 1 terabyte, that comes in at number 3. And he says, so that's neat. So he's not acting like, these are crazy sales numbers that week. Obviously, a lot of people waiting to spend money the week after. But it is interesting just to see that Next Playground came in at number 2. And again, the source is Circana Retail Tracking Service. That's who Matt Piscatello works for. He's one of the people that manages the gaming sector of that, the video game sector. So, yeah, we'll get some more information, obviously, later on how well it performed over Black Friday weekend. You probably won't be touching on anything in December. Sometimes you'll cover Cyber Monday in the update, but, we'll see what happens later this month just to see how well Switch 2 has been doing. Again, this doesn't even tell us how many units it's sold. This doesn't mean that it's selling incredibly well, just that it's selling better than everything else heading into that weekend. All right, next up, we have to go into this thing where Nintendo is talking about Kirby Air Riders and some bugs that I wasn't aware because, I don't own Kirby Air Riders yet. But when you look at this, you see we have confirmed the following issues in Kirby Air Riders. The occurrence rate of the city trial event, Omen of the Giant Bird, Dyna Blade appears may be lower than intended at times, and in free run mode, the timer's progression may become abnormal after playing for an extended period. We are currently working on fixes so that we can distribute and update data patch for these issues in the near future. We apologize for the inconvenience caused. Gotta love when Nintendo recognizes this stuff and fixes it. These are obviously bugs that would take longer play sessions to sort out, so they didn't notice it in QA. Also, this is a bug somebody pointed out as well. Can you fix the bug where it crashes with an error when opening Gummy after exceeding 8,400 Gummy? You see he posts a video of it crashing here when they exceed that Gummy. And it's got a lot of likes, so this must be a pretty common issue. And again, all of this is Nintendo of Japan responding. They take this stuff pretty seriously. I would assume that might be also addressed in this update, given that it's the number one response to it is that, hey, there's this other bug you might not have known about. Since you're talking about bugs, here's another one. Please get this patched. Obviously, we don't have the patch yet, so we don't know what gets fixed besides those two issues. But, it's always nice. Obviously, You would like to see games that never have issues at launch, but that's just not the case. Next up, man, there's a mega deal that just happened, or at least is pending, legal approval. Netflix. This is literally the Netflix account. Today, Netflix announced our acquisition of Warner Brothers. Together, we'll define the next century of storytelling, creating an extraordinary entertainment offering for audiences everywhere. And it links to like a news article about it. You can read the news article. There's nothing mentioned in there about WB Games in that news article because WB Games is technically a separate entity that's obviously related to, but not necessarily part of this purchase. Now, that's interesting. It gives Netflix access to all these IPs, the DC universe, Batman, all this stuff. But here's the thing. We wouldn't be covering this if there wasn't some implications for the gaming sector. And this implication comes from Derek Strickland. So Derek Strickland just got confirmation. He actually works at Tweaktown, very well connected, huge industry insider and journalist. So just got confirmation from a Warner Brothers rep that the Netflix deal does include WB Games. So while it's not actually in like the announcement, it's part of the purchase. Obviously, for Netflix's purposes, probably not the biggest part of the purchase. They're probably looking more at like the show and movie side of things, but still, it is part of the purchase. Netflix will become the new owner of WB Games if the deal goes through. He has an update down here as well that says, just a quick clarification, Netflix will own Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers includes WB Games. Netflix wouldn't technically be operating WB Games directly. A level of organization structure will remain. Think of it like Xbox buying ZeniMax, which is the parent operator of Bethesda game software. So basically what he's saying is, yeah, they would own it, but they're not really going to manage it. Obviously, they could. When you own something, you could tear down the management if you want to, but it doesn't seem like Netflix has any desire to change the status quo with WB Games. It seems like they're just going to let them continue to exist, and obviously Netflix will just make the money off the stuff. Obviously, if it gets to the point that WB Games is losing mass amounts of money, you could see Netflix step in with their corporate overlords and meddle and, I don't know, shut things down, which we don't want to see happen. But WB Games is important because that's where we got things like a lot of the Lego games, Lego Star Wars games as well. We've gotten those Batman games and so much more. So yeah, obviously we want to see WB Games be successful. They've made great games in the past. Hopefully they continue to make great games moving forward. We see more and more of those on Switch 2. I'll give you an example. One of their most successful games of recent years has been Hogwarts Legacy. And they're supposedly making another one. So I assume Netflix wants to continue to make money off this stuff. So here's hoping that WB Games continues to exist and do well under the new owners and the rest of WB, HBO, and everything else that's involved in this as well. If you were curious who like one of the other number one bidders that Netflix beat out, it looks like it was Paramount that was looking to purchase them, and Netflix came in and outbid them. So it is what it is. None of this is technically approved yet. The sale hasn't been approved. There's a whole legal process you have to go through to complete a sale. It's like $89 billion. So it is larger than the Activision Blizzard King purchase. So all the legal process. We covered a lot of that here about that purchase, especially since there was some implications for Nintendo and they were brought up in the legal process. I expect this to be another lengthy legal process. I don't think this is just going to get a quick stamp of approval on the legal side before Christmas. Probably going to be a 6-month process, maybe longer. But at some point next year, I do suspect Netflix will get the necessary approval for this. It doesn't make them a monopoly. There's tons of competitors out there, just like Disney and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I guess this is better than something like Tencent buying them or Saudi Arabia or whatever. But it does keep it, I guess, U.S. owned. So I guess there's that. All right, let's go ahead and get to our next story. I mean, it's hard to know what to think about this really until we see what happens. That's why I'm like, I don't really know what to think. Like, I am a subscriber to Netflix. I do use their stuff. I like their shows, but they don't make, like, every decision they make is great. So, like when they made it so we can't share our one account with like my parents and my grandparents, like, that sucked. But anyways, that doesn't matter right now. Let's go ahead and get to this final story here. This has to do with DLC for Mario Kart World. And before we dive in, I'm going to warn you right now, this DLC involves spoilers for a game that came out this year. So if you do not want any spoilers for a game that came out this year that is a Switch 2 exclusive, I would steer away right now, leave it. But if you don't care, because you feel like you've beaten all the Switch 2 exclusives, you know what's up, you might even know what I'm referencing, cool. I just wanted to be clear about that before we dive in, because this DLC involves somebody that's a massive spoiler from a game. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Nintendo is set to finally acknowledge Donkey Kong Bonanza's secret new character. This is IGN reporting this. And fans are now convinced the timing points to a new Mario Kart DLC. So, as Nintendo finally looks set to acknowledge a certain secret character's presence in Donkey Kong Bonanza, fans are taking the moment as further evidence of upcoming unannounced Mario Kart World DLC. As everyone who has completed Donkey Kong Bonanza will know, the game's final boss is King K. Rool, and if you haven't played the game yet, you should, it's great. While he's hinted at numerous times during the game, King K. Rool's reveal is kept as a late surprise, and Nintendo has hidden the crowned reptile from all of its marketing around the game. That is, until now. Data miners who have peered into the files of Nintendo Today smartphone app have spotted that Rool will finally be acknowledged on December 15th, when the scaled royal figure is set to star in the software's daily intro animation as recorded and already visible via the Mario Wiki. We've seen it. I've already seen the animation. It's all over social media. Anyways, and now fans are putting Rool's reveal together with a certain other event happening in the very near future, along with some previous hints to suggest we'll be seeing much more of the character very shortly. Because, of course, next week is the Game Awards on December 11th, and Nintendo has used the show to reveal some more minor announcements in the past. Though it has to be said, not for the past few years. I think the last one was a new trailer for... what is it? Fire Emblem Engage? Yeah, they put a trailer of Fire Emblem Engage back in 2022. I think it's the last time they had like a major presence. Anyways, there's an expectation that Nintendo does have DLC for Mario Kart World waiting in the wings, as the game's credits mysteriously include the voice actors for both King K. Rool and Void Kong, Bonanza's main villain. Neither character can actually be found in the game at present, something that's led to fans believing the pair are arriving as part of the racer's first wave of post-launch characters. Wrapping up 2025 with DLC drop for Switch 2's launch title that celebrates this year's second biggest Nintendo release just makes sense and may help shift a few more Switch 2 consoles ahead of the holidays. Not that Nintendo really needs the help. Will King K. Rool be meeting Jeff Keighley next week? Again, obviously lots of speculation here, but it kind of makes sense. Yeah, the King K. Rool update for the 15th, that's real. That's data mined. That's updated. We've seen it. Obviously, Nintendo can change their mind now that it's been data mined, but it doesn't change the fact that it was still planned to come out. Yeah, this could make a lot of sense. This could make a lot of sense for Nintendo to drop a small Mario Kart World update at the Game Awards. I assume if it's just King K. Rool and Void Kong and associated Kart stuff, that it's probably going to be free DLC. But if it does happen to include like new tracks and new other stuff to go along with those characters, well then, okay, maybe this ends up becoming part of like wave one of paid DLC that gets just announced in general at the Game Awards. This is definitely a possibility. The reason people bring up the Game Awards is it's like the last major industry event this year. Obviously, Nintendo can announce this stuff just on Nintendo Today or anywhere they feel like. They could literally drop it on Twitter. They could just drop a random video. They could announce a direct for all we know. They've had like 11 directs this year. So maybe it's time to get 12 and have an average of one per month. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, that is what's going on there. It's pretty exciting. And that's what I got for you today for the news. So look, guys, we're here today in crispy 4K. I actually finally, for the first time in a while, adjusted some settings on my camera. Haven't really adjusted them for a while. I wanted to fine tune it in a bit more. And now you can clearly see behind me that, you know, this is like a light blue snow sort of blue color. And you see the P that's also blue on my shirt popping out a bit more, especially on the hat with the white background. Yeah, I adjusted some settings to try to make blue show up a little bit better. It had previously kind of been blown out and mostly looked white. Now you can actually tell that there's actually a tint of blue, which is the whole point, because this is the Christmas set that we're still building out. And blue is like snow. We want like that snowy theme up in here. Might even get some fake snow back here eventually. So we're working on it. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in and let me know what you think about the image quality here, since we're doing it in 4K. For the first time in a bit, and let me know what you think about the color balancing and all of that as I continue to try to find just minor little ways as we head to 2026 to tweak and improve the content at the channel. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video.